Very nice. Okay. Chodesh Tov. Mamash. We waited a long time to get to Adar because now begins the months of Chesed. The Zohar says, and we said this many times. You heard this probably many times, but it's good to have it in your head so you have a consolation when you know what you're going through is something normal and not you stick out. It's only me and Hashem doesn't like me and I'm going through what I'm going through. And I got a phone call last night. A lady in Beersheba. She said she felt totally alone. And she wrote a poem about how she felt alone. And she's asking me to give her input. So what I told her is that basically the Zohar says that the months of Tevet and Shvat are months of dinim, judgments. And Adar, from Adar, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, we have to go into this also. They're all months of Chesed. The question I have is how is Sefirot Omer, a month of Chesed, if we're mourning over the Talmud and Rabbi Akiva, and it's a dangerous time, and it's dinim, you have to be careful, and it's a month of Chesed Iyar at the same time. So that we'll eventually get into that. But starting from Adar, we have 4 months of Chesed. Because it's a leap year, I asked Rabbanim, could it be that in a leap year, the first Adar is half-half? Because Shovavim continues into halfway Adar. Shovavim Tat. The weeks of Shovavim end on Purim Katan. So I asked, could it be the first 2 weeks of Adar Rishon are given to Shvat and Tevet and are also dinim? And they said no. I asked him Chaim Kramer. He said no. Adar is Chesed. Period. Adar Rishon, Adar Sheni. It's all Chesed and kindness. So now, Shvat and Tevet were dinim. Those dinim were reflected mainly in feeling empty, cold, out of it spiritually. When you feel far from Hashem, you feel disconnected. You feel no one's listening to you. No one paying attention to your davening. Your mitzvah to make a difference. And the snow and the cold and everyone's sad and depressed. Okay, so you feel, that's the attitude of Tevet and Shvat. I found out this recently. Something just happened. And Friday, the English date or the Hebrew date, whatever it was, Kav Zayin, Kav Chet, whatever it was in Shvat, there's a commemoration in Uman. They brought all of the Jewish school children in Ukraine from Kiev and everywhere, that there's Tashbar, that there's Tinokot Shel Beit Rabban and Talmud Torahs. They all came to Uman with this big Rav Mashpia from Gateshead. He's not a Breslover. Some big Rav who does Kiruv in Ukraine, from England, from Gateshead, plus other Breslovers. They came together to say Tikkun HaKlali by the Kever Rabbi Nachman in memory of an incident that happened that day in the city of Breslov. What happened in Breslov? In Breslov on that day, 80 years ago, the Nazis took 50 Jewish kids from the orphanage. There was an orphanage in Breslov. They took the 50 kids in the middle of the night in the freezing cold ice Bug River. That's the river below Rav Noson's Kever. They cracked the ice. Plus they brought another 250 Jews from a ghetto that they made, a temporary ghetto somewhere around Breslov in between another village. And they simply threw them into the ice, into the cracked ice, children, orphans, kids, right? And anyone who tried to get out, they shot. So whatever happened to the bodies, no one really knows. It's not clear what happened. But to commemorate that day, they had a Tikkun HaKlali that they said in memory of all these 50 children. So they got these kids to come. So the Big Kiddush Hashem. But these things, crazy things are typical of the month of Tevet and Shvat. I can imagine. We should never even have to think about it. But those were in the Holocaust. When they got to the months of Tevet and Shvat, I can imagine that there were Dinei Dinim that was even harder than the normal. And the months of Av and Tammuz, Shemerachim. But always the good has the upper hand, and you have to wait it out. That's the secret. The secret to be matzliach in life is that when you hit with bad days and difficult times, you just have to wait. Patience, and not to make a conclusion. It's fightful, it's over, you have to just mamash wait it out and hold on until the right time comes for zoom to go up. So that's the idea of Adar. So I told this lady back in Beersheba, I said, what it looks like, what you're going through, is the Yetzirah is giving his final punches. Rabbi Nachman says that in a battle between good and bad, when the bad sees he's about to lose, so in his final punch, he gives it back. He gives a strong punch. The strongest of all of his punches is the last one because he's about to fall with it. So towards the end of the month of Shvat, where the dinim have their say up to Rosh Chodesh, that's it. Today is still 30 Shvat, but it's Rosh Chodesh, forget it. Adar took also The 30th day, 31st or 30th, am I right? 31st? 30th day. Yeah. So Adar took also the last day of Shvat, and it's part of Adar. So the Avodah now is Mamash, Marbin B'Simcha, Mamash, everything we spoke about until now. That means telling jokes. Batal B'Shishim. I heard that joke also. It's Batal B'Shishim. The 60 days. What's Batal B'Shishim? What's the joke again? I heard it this morning. Someone just told me the joke. I forgot it already.
Rabbi said that if you're mechazik and simcha for 60 days, for the 6 days of both Adoration and Adosheni, then all the asos is
because it's Batal. There you go. Shkoyach. I heard it in a joke format, something like that. Hey, that's the chiddush. But it's only this year.
Right.
And normal Adar and Adar will be 29 and 30. Won't be 60. This year is unique that both Adars are 30 days. Okay, this leap year is unique that it's 30. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. As we say, it's not normally 60 days. It's 59 days.
Right, but if you count the Shvat.
Not even. It's always double. That was the whole chiddush. That it's 60 days dafka this year.
How many years is the next time?
I don't know. Look at the calendar. What are you asking me? Whatever. The point is though, Marbin B'Simcha, which is especially Mira de Shtuta, telling the jokes, clapping your hands, being happy, thanking Hashem. Okay, yesterday I was in Meron, Baruch Hashem, and I tried to cry. I tried to open my heart to feel a broken heart. It didn't work. I was just the whole time thanking Hashem. I was giving thanks. I'm trying to have a broken heart like I used to have. I was able to. Now everything was just thanking Hashem because things are so good. When you see your life, things are good. You just don't see it. Most people, they don't see how good their life is. Most people, I mean, that's why they're sad. But when you see how good, when your eyes are open, they see how good is your life. So you can only thank Hashem. That's all you can really give over B'ezrat Hashem. So we're now preparing. We have how many? 45 days to prepare for Purim, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, in Breslov, they start preparing for Purim 40 days before. We spoke about this last year, that in Breslov circles, they start screaming and davening 40 days before Purim, which will be this year on Dalit Adar Aleph. That's 40 days before Purim. They start in the davening adding, Hatzileni miklipat Haman Amalek, v'zakeni likdushat Mordechai ve'Esther. Save me from the klip of Haman Amalek and sanctify me with the holiness of Mordechai and Esther. As we're going to go on, you're going to see we're going to be adding more and more points from Purim into lesson 24, because the story of Purim it's called Megillat Esther. What is Megillat Esther? Rav Nosson explains in also Hasidic books. To reveal, legalot, the setter, what's hidden, your hidden potential. To reveal what's hidden within you, that's the gift of Purim. The miracle of Purim is that you begin to come to your true potential. Nichnas yain, yatsa sod. We drink wine in order that your pnimiyut should come out. He says, Rav Nosson speaks a lot about lesson 24 as it relates to Purim. A lot. He goes into it. And he basically says, we didn't get into these details. We didn't go into yet the Redifan, the Ma'akev, these topics that are coming up in the lesson. But he says that the idea of drinking, adelo yada, is you have to reach a level of tachlit ayediyah asher lo neda. The whole goal of wisdom is to know that you don't know. Because what's wisdom? Wisdom is up to the point of Ein Sof, according to the Kabbalah. What is yediyah? I understand. Hashem gave you a level maximum, how much you can understand Him and the Torah and everything, but there's a limit. Hashem Himself, Ein Sof, Ein yediyah. There's no yediyah. So tachlit hayediyah is the lo neda. I reached the maximum of the yediyah, where I reached the point of lo yeda. And he says, Rav Nosson, that's the whole idea of why it's so kadosh. It's so powerful to drink on Purim. It's so important to drink on Purim. That's why for some people it's hard, but it's so powerful because what you can gain out of it is unbelievable. The gift of knowing how much to understand, and then there's a point where you have to put a blocker. And most people in life, this is the biggest difficulty, is knowing when to pursue, when to advance, when to conquer, and then when to put a stop and, now put a blockage. Most people when they're on a roll, they know you can't stop them. Everything's good. They go up, and then they crash because they can handle the bounce back, which happens to them inevitably. They have the bounce and they don't know how to take it positively because everything is just understanding and conquering yediyah and advance and etc. etc. And then when you reach a point where now Adkan, we put a blockage on you, that's when you're reaching now at your level on Or Ein Sof, and then they're telling you now you have to stop. Boom. Most people can't handle that. The secret of Purim, the gift of Purim, Rabbi Nosson says, is you zoche ad lo yada, you drink and you tap into your inner essence, where you can now have a mastery of the yediyah and the lo yediyah in life. The redifa, ma'akav. These terms we're going to go into a lot because of Hashem as we get on. But that's why Purim, it's one of the things Rabbi Nosson says why Purim is such a big gift. And why all the mitzvahs of the Purim are b'simcha. We tell jokes. Everyone's telling jokes. Even the most serious Rosh Hashiva, with Rosh Hashiva, even on Purim, he tells jokes and everyone's happy because that's the key to tapping into the light of Purim, B'ezrat Hashem. So we're going to be 40 days before. In Breslov communities, they have this custom. It's not a halachic custom. Someone asked me this week, is there a Breslov Shulchan Aruch? There's no such thing as a Breslov Shulchan Aruch. It doesn't exist. That's the beauty of Rabbi Nachman's teachings. Is you can be what? You can see Amram doesn't learn the Likutey Halachot. If he doesn't, if you ask him, you're saying that you don't learn the Likutey Halachot, my friend. The Likutey Halachot has nothing to do with halacha. It's the hashkafa behind the halacha. He takes in the Likutey Halachot of Nosson, he takes the discourses of the Likutey Moharan, and he shows you the deeper meaning behind the tefillin, kashrut, mikvaot, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos, Hashkamat HaBoker, Birkat HaShachar, Mincha, every part of the four sections of the Shulchan Aruch, Chovel B'Chavero, Ma'akeh, Shmirat HaNefesh, Edut, Basar B'Chalav, Treifot. What is the deeper meaning behind it? Rav Nosson once said, Rabbi Nachman isn't concerned with what you're doing. He's concerned with how are you doing what you're doing already. If he said also, Rabbi Nachman, from the two examples stick out. He says you don't have to change your nusach to be a chassid. You can daven nusach Ashkenaz and still be a chassid. You don't have to change. You can be a Sephardi, you have to continue. That's the beauty of Rabbi Nachman saying you don't have to change a malbush. This is a person, there's nothing to do with Breslov, by the way, white kippah and birds, there's nothing to do with it. It's a personal choice. Someone who tries to tell you that this is how Breslov is dressed, that's wrong. That was a personal choice through people's and koach hamedameh, their imagination, that this is how a demut of how I want to look like, and it happens many Breslovers are like that, so that's how Breslovers look like. It's wrong. Tchelet also. Many Breslovers don't wear tchelet. Okay? It's not a Breslov thing to wear tchelet. Okay? It happens to be, many people do. Okay? Another example about eating gebrochts. Gebrochts, shluya, to eat matzo balls on Pesach. Rabbi Nachman said clearly, if your minhag is to eat gebrochts, continue. If your minhag is not, continue also. But there's no now changing. So what is Rabbi Nachman concerned? How are you doing it? How are you davening? How are you doing your mitzvot? How are you putting your mitzvot? That's where his teachings come into play. It's how are you doing what you're doing? Yeah, okay, that's the beauty. Fine. We went off a little. Okay. But in Breslov custom, that was what I'm saying. They're from today already, because Rosh Chodesh, we dance every day after Shacharit and Maariv. In a Breslov minyan, a typical Breslov minyan, they do halacha. It's just a conduct. It's a hanhaga. Like right after davening, everybody takes hands and they dance every day, except for Shavua Shechal before Rosh Chodesh Av until Tisha B'Av, and days when it's forbidden to dance like that. But every day they dance after Shacharit and after Maariv. For 5 minutes, up to 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes.
Like from now till.
So now, no. All year round they dance. All year round, go to the Breslov minyan. You were the Breslov minyan. You saw Friday night. They took hands and they danced Friday night. It's not like this Friday night. It's also Thursday night, Wednesday night. But not as big. For Friday night Shabbos, it's big because everybody's in shul Friday night. Right, Baruch, exactly. Baruch even less people. It's extended on a Friday night in a Breslov minyan. What?
Why not?
Because mincha is the middle. The beginning of the day, you need chizuk, and at the end of the day, the beginning and the end is what counts here. Okay, 1 second. What? The middle is the toughest. Mincha is the toughest. Mincha is dinim. Because mincha is dinim, there's no reason to dance yet. It's only after you pass the dinim, and that's when Kriyat Shema B'Arbi takes place. And what?
the
preparation from Shacharit. Exactly. Shachar gives you the strength. What?
And you're looking forward to Marv.
No, and Mariv is, I made it through Mincha. That's the dancing after Mariv. Okay. What? Yitzchak is Keneged Mincha.
But we said even when he's dinim,
Yeah.
solution of tzaka.
Tzchok. Because we went into that. The root are, how do you mitigate the judgments of Yitzchak? By being besimcha. It's hard to be besimcha when you're under judgments, under dinim. When you have Yitzchak attitude, it's hard to be besimcha. It's not easy. Okay? So mincha is like quick. There's no kriyat in mincha. There's no mochin. Rav Nosson explains this. There's mochin, intellect, in kriyat. It says in the Zohar, this week's Parsha Truma, and it shows in an amazing way that any Jew who says properly kriyat shema, the two psukim, it's like he learned the entire Torah Shebichtav and Torah Sheba'al Peh. It says the 25 letters of Shema Yisrael Hashem Shema Echad. I have to correct myself, by the way. Last time I said this 25 and 25, it's 24 and 25. I made the mistake. When it says, remember, Vayifen Ko V'Ko B'Moshe Rabbeinu, we said, and he turned Kaf Hey and Kaf Hey. So the Tikkun Zohar says it's referring to Kriyat Shema of Shacharit and Kriyat Shema of Mariv. You got that? That's Ko V'Ko. I said it was by accident. I said Ko and Shema Yisrael and Ko is Baruch Shem Kibud Malchut. That was a mistake. No. Tikkun Zohar says clearly it's the Shema of nighttime, of day, and the Shema. That's Ko V'Ko. He activated the Ko of Kriyat Shema. Huh? So now, 1 second. So the Zohar, this week's Parsha Truma says, Baruch Shem Kibud Malchut number 8 is 24 letters, and Shema Yisrael Hashem Shema Echad is 25 letters. 25 letters is, the Zohar proves and shows it's referring to the whole Torah Shebichtav, and the 24 is the Torah Sheba'al Peh. When you say Kriyat Shema, you're saying the whole Torah. So there's accomplishment, there's moichin in Shacharit and Mariv. Mincha, you don't have that. So that's why there's always the dance yet. You dance because Mincha is passing through. You're still in the middle of, like someone's in the middle of a job, let's stop and dance. No, I'm in the middle of doing something. Let me finish something complete, which is Mariv, then I can dance. That's the custom of dancing after Mariv and before Shacharit and after Shacharit. So they dance in Breslev. They started already from this morning. They sing these words, Hatzileni, Hatzileni, Hatzileni. Every day now, they're going to drive us nuts, the Breslevers. And they're going to sing every morning and every evening, Hatzileni, Klipa, Tamana, Malek, until Purim. Okay? What? No, because that's the only time of the day to let it out. You have to let it all the tension and everything. They let out that dancing. Class of Nosson wrote a beautiful prayer. I think I mentioned it to you guys many times. It's I think part 2, prayer 32, 37. We have to check. Well, we'll look it up. Rav Nosson wrote a prayer for Purim as a preparation for Purim. Okay, I remember when I first came here. So about 25, 26 years ago. So I was working for a Breslev Tfus, publishing press, a printing press for Breslevers. And the owner of the printing press came up with the idea to take Rav Nosson's prayer and to make it, was the first time ever being done, to make it laminated and the pocket size where it folds. Until then, no one thought about doing it and it didn't exist. So I sat there typing it out. It was nice. I had to type out in Hebrew with the dots vocalized and everything. And we made a test. He designed a beautiful graphic, something nice. And again, this is 26 years ago quality. It was like the first time these things were being done on computer. Now it's every day. It's not a problem. So then it was like a lot of hard work, and then to have it presented. So we printed a limited amount, about 100 copies, 200, and we sold them or gave them out. People were flipping out. One guy, he said, I want to order 50,000 copies. So we printed 50,000 copies, got it laminated, and he wanted to print it, and it should be distributed for free. In other words, he's paying for it. So it was getting all over Eretz Yisrael, and we're getting phone calls from people all over. One guy, a Litvish rabbi from Tveria, he says, I don't understand. I'm supposed to say this on Purim? Like, you didn't understand. What was the purpose of the prayer? He said, no, it's a preparation for Purim. It's a prayer, not because most people say you say the prayer on Purim itself. He said, it can't be said on Purim, but it's meant to be as a preparation. Because a person once said, the best way to get something moving in life is to daven for it 40 days straight. When you daven for something 40 days straight, the best chances of that happening is when you do 40-day consistent davening for Yom Kippur. What? This is brought down. You can see this at the end of the book, Through Fire and Water. The book Through Fire and Water. At the end, there's a chapter called The Gems of Rav Nosson. In there, this is brought down. Which section, I don't remember, but it's in the
What,
gems.
to say it for 40
The Rav Nosson said the statement, and he guarantees you see results when you daven for something for 40 days straight.
Like,
It's taken from a source, yeah. There he'll tell you the source. If it's Siach Safrei Kodesh, if it's Avnei Barzel, if it's Koch Ve'or, those are the three main books that quote Rav Nosson's sayings. Rav Nosson has beautiful sayings and anecdotes and gems and parables. Those are the three main books that you can find them. Siach Safrei Kodesh, Avnei Barzel, and Koch Ve'or. Okay, that was just an introduction. Now we're gonna go to where we left off. This part of the lesson is Mamash Kabbalah. Okay, we're going all the way. It's an introduction to Kabbalah. We need to go into it, even though Kabbalah, you have to be very careful. You have to, Rav Nosson says, you have to daven a lot to see if you're fit to learn Kabbalah or not. Why? Because Kabbalah is gematria, noef, immorality, immoral. Someone who's not fitting, Kabbalah will be a detrimental learning for him, will bring him down. You have to daven a lot to see if you're fit to learn Kabbalah. They say Rav Shmuel Shapira in the Breslov movement, his whole life, he was scared to open the book Etz Chaim. He was someone you would think if he's not a tzaddik than who is. This guy, the Shmuel Shapira, he was called the tzaddik of Yerushalayim. He would walk around, there's pictures of him, he would walk around like this. Okay, like this. Even when he was older, 40, 56, he would walk around like this, with his eyes closed. Okay? They say about him, even his wife once, she passed him the baby and with his eyes closed. That's how much he was in Kedusha, okay? That's an extreme example. Okay, and he was someone who was scared to open the book Etz Chaim. His son learned Kabbalah. Remember, Rav Nosson David Shapira, he learned Kabbalah, fine. But the father, he was scared.
Getting scared, does that mean he didn't
He
learn
was
it, or
fit.
does it mean that he learned it?
No, he didn't open it. He didn't learn Kabbalah. He was afraid to approach this learning because he felt you had to be so ra'ui to learn Kabbalah, and seeing how people are with all the garbage and the schmutz in their head, and they come with that to learn Kabbalah, it's fine and dandy, it's okay, nah? And that's the pachad. And Rav Nosson writes, you have to really daven to see if you're fit to learn Kabbalah or not.
What's so scary?
If you're not fit, it's so high, it's going to bring you down even more. You can take what you're learning and transform it. That was the blemish of Jacob Frank. Jacob Frank, who was the main follower of Shabtai Tzvi, he claimed he was a reincarnation, a Gilgul of Shabtai Tzvi, okay? And someone who learned Kabbalah openly, and him with about 250 followers, they baptized themselves to become Christians, and they were involved in niuf, immorality to the extreme. Because he held the shita that if now the whole goal of life is you have to go to the klipot to elevate, so why wait for it to come to you? Go lechatchila into the klipot, go into the tuma, go dafka into the impurity, and do the battle. So they learned Kabbalah, learned everything, and they went into Christianity, they went into immorality, they did bestiality, they did everything, these guys. They had with animals, they did with animals even, okay? They did everything crazy. This guy, Jacob Frank, and his group, 250 people, okay? So he was the time of the Baal Shem Tov. The Frankists, they were called the Frankists. They had a big debate with one of the Lubavitch rabbis, and also Rav Chaim Volozhin, I think. Rav Chaim Volozhin, and one of the second Rebbe of Chabad, I think, or the Tzemach Tzedek. There was a big debate that was organized by the Frankists. It's in history books. I admit I'm not 100% remembering all the details of the dates and who, but you have it down there. It's run down in historical books. You want a good historical perspective, it's in the introduction to the book Until the Mashiach. There you have, there's a Breslov book Until the Mashiach. So that gives a historical overview. You have all the dates and times and who, etc. Okay? So you have people who can take the Kabbalah and it can bring them to make mistakes. That's what Rabbeinu said. Rabbeinu said in Likutey Moharan part 2, lesson Ayeh. What's Ayeh? Lesson 12? Lesson 12, part 2. That a person goes after his own chokhmot, a person goes after his sechel, can make a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. And this is the danger of learning Kabbalah when you're not fit. Because Kabbalah opens up the mind. And now when your mind is opened and you choose to go after your mind's understanding of things and you forget about emunah and basics of Yiddishkeit, you just leave it aside, you're in danger. The whole secret of the hatzlacha of learning Kabbalah is that every step you go in, you don't budge from emunah. It's always like you're scared at every step because they're opening you to new levels and it's deep. If you budge even a second from basic emunah, you're lost, you lose it. Because you're going after your chokhmah, you start now making insights in chidushim. The classic example, I'm really going off a little. The example that Rabbeinu brings is the author of the Sefer Asara Ma'amarot, the Rama Mipano. Rama Mipano, right? He said a statement that because of that statement, he had a lot of machloket against him. He said the idea of the beard, the zakan, is so lofty that chutz la'aretz is not fit for the concept of the beard. Okay? So now the first generation of intellectual Jews in Germany who were chachamim and talmidei chachamim, they used this teaching of the Rama Mipano as a heter why to shave lechatchila, and from shaving lechatchila, it led to even shaving with a forbidden, with a tar, a razor, a blade. Okay, and they were hiding what they were doing, but they were lying. They're saying, "Oh, we have the Rama Pano, the Rama Pano." At that time, it was like the 1700s when this came out, whatever. Right? It was a big balagan in Germany between the more frum Rabbanim and the more modern frum Rabbanim who were using the heter based on the Rama Pano statement, because that's not what he meant. It didn't mean on that, but he built himself. He was a Mekubal. He was in Kabbalah, the Rama Mipano, and Rabbeinu brought us as an example of someone can learn the Kabbalah and be misled in Chochmot. Okay, fine. So now we are going to go into a bit of Kabbalah, and our goal is only to understand the Likutey Moharan. That's the only reason why we're going to this. We're not just learning Kabbalah. It's not a Kabbalah. This is not a Kabbalah shir. Okay? It's not a Kabbalah shir. We're going into this in order to understand the perspective of everything we spoke about, how it's hidden, it's hinted to in the Kabbalah, and it grows your appreciation to what Rabbeinu says. Rabbeinu brought a chidush. What's the chidush? That by doing any mitzvah besimcha, you elevate the holiness of the klipot. But this, by the way, is an explanation of what we said before. We don't go looking for klipot. We're thrown into it against our will. When you are being attacked with sadness and depression, that's the klipot attacking you. What I have to do now is to get out of this. Why is it happening to me? Hashem sent me here purposely because I have a mission to do to elevate holiness, which is trapped, holy sparks, which is trapped. And it's being represented in the sadness and depression that I'm having. The sadness and depression is a representation of me being thrown into the world of impurity, of the evil side, whatever. And my job is to extract holiness. What am I doing here? Leave me alone. Let me stay in the Asharim and be my four corners, my Dalit Amot of holiness and Kedusha. What are you guys doing to me? What are you taking my head to places where no man has gone before? What are you guys doing to me? What are you doing to me? So this is B'dafka, specifically, in order that person has to elevate sparks that only he can elevate. You can say, take somebody else. Why need me? Why me? Let me live a comfortable life. I'm just learning Torah, going to Kollel, being, in Torah and mitzvot all day long. And, shalom alay nafshi, let me be okay. Leave me alone. Take somebody else who's anyways in the shmutz. He has his arms like this and he's already doing kirva chokim and he goes out to work and he's in the world and he has now a smartphone for work and everything. And he's in the shmutz already. Take someone like that to do the job. No, we want you. Why me? Because you have specific sparks that are only connected to your neshama that only you can elevate. Oh, thank you very much. So what am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? That's what Rabbeinu says. Is now your way to get out is to be b'simcha. And because there's so many mitzvot that a Jew has, even every second you have mitzvot that you're doing, believe it or not. There's so many mitzvot. We went into this many times, remember? Hashem wanted to bring merit. We said it together. Right? Hashem wanted to bring merit to the Jewish people. So he gave them many Torah and mitzvot. Rav Nosson asked, that's a merit, that's a burden. Hashem wanted to bring merit to Jewish people. She gives them tons of mitzvot. What are you not going to crash now? Tons of mitzvot. That's a merit, that's a burden. He says, no, it's not a burden. There's so many mitzvot, so that whenever a Jew just turns, he's doing a mitzvah, even not knowing about it. Like Rashi says, sometimes a Jew, a coin falls out of his pocket and a poor man finds it, he picks it up and he takes it. You get credited to the mitzvah of doing tzedakah, even though you didn't even know about it. It came out intentionally. And you don't even, like you're Yehush on the money and everything, and a poor guy found the money. Rashi brings us down. You're credited to that mitzvah, even though you didn't do it, you did it purposely, okay? So there's so many mitzvot. Because of that, there's a reason why to be happy always. Mitzvah gedola, liot b'simchatam. We went this many times already, okay? This is Rabbeinu's insight here, is that by being happy and doing the mitzvot of happiness, that is how you elevate the holiness from the klipot, which is exactly what the Ktoret does in the davening. That's why we do the Ktoret. That's why it's so important not to skip the Pitum Ktoret in Shacharit. Never skip it. Even if you're late for davening, make sure you get in the Pitum Ktoret before. There's certain things not to skip, and that's one of them. I saw a book this week. It's a book called something Yashve, Divrei Yashve. A Rav wrote a book, a Rav here in Yerushalayim. And it's a whole book. What do you do when you're late for davening? What to skip? What comes first? It's amazing. A whole book. If I have time, or mikveh, and then I'm going to miss Psukkah de Zimra. Can I miss Psukkah de Zimra and Cheshbon going to the mikveh? So he says there's opinions. There's a Hasidic opinion that says, yes, you can miss it and make up for it afterwards. Another says, no, Litvish idea, you have to. What is this? You can't miss that and that. You can't miss the davening for mikveh. What is this? Okay? And he's an open-minded Rav. He brings all the opinions. By the Sefirot, it's like this. By the Hasidim, Mashve. What do you mean Mashve?
No.
The name of the book,
Yeah.
Yashve, Divrei Yashve or Beit Yashve. What's the word Yashve used? Yud Shin Pei Hey. There's the pasuk Yashve, right? Whatever. It's an amazing book. He brings down. What do you do when you're late for davening? Yeah, you're getting it, huh?
Very important.
Very important book to know what to skip, what not to skip if you're late for davening. Pitum Aktoret, according to Rabbeinu says here, you never skip a deeper. I should have thought about it. I didn't. I think it's called Divrei Yashve.
You're gonna read it all night and then
Yeah, now you know I can live davening. Yes. Okay.
If you can read the book.
All right. So we're going to continue now. We're going to now. This point is the last line of Seif Bet. Seif Bet. Okay, lesson 24, paragraph number 2, the last line. Okay, what did it say here? This is all Kabbalah. Vezeu bechinat malchut da'asiyah ha'ola min haklipot. What in the world is going on here? Let's translate first. And this, which means everything we've said until now, which is basically on a practical level, doing mitzvot with joy, not just doing the mitzvot, but doing the mitzvot with joy. This is the same, this is akin to, this is the aspect of Malchut, we're going to go into this, of Asiyah, of the world of action, Asiyah, which comes out of the Klipot. Now we're going to need a lot of introductions from the Etz Chaim, okay? I'll do my best, and I hope I explained it clearly, and I hope I don't make a mistake, okay? It's like this. We went into this in the past a little bit. I'm going to use the maps here in the back of the BRI edition of Likutey Moharan, because there are beautiful maps here. Okay, here's the first map. When Hashem, we said, created the world. You remember how the creation took place? It was called the Chalal HaPanui. Hashem was everywhere. Hashem is called the infinite light, the Or Ein Sof. His Or Ein Sof is part of the light of the infinite light, but he's the infinite one. Hashem was infinite. Why is it called infinite? Because this goes beyond our sechel. We can't understand this. Hashem is everywhere. What does it mean everywhere? There's like until further there. There's no limit. It doesn't end. That already it goes beyond human comprehension. And when you get to think about this, it's very dangerous. When you go to think about this, you start feeling very like shaky. Whoa. We need to think about Hashem being Ein Sof. It's like it goes beyond all rationale, all logic. Our logic works from here to here. We have limitations. And we're told that something or someone is everywhere and doesn't end. It's like crazy. It goes against your thinking. That's why a lot of emunah is needed when going into these ideas. Hashem was everywhere. Ein Sof. Okay? Hashem, the Rav Chaim Vital writes, wanted his goodness to be revealed. But if he's everywhere, there's nowhere to reveal his goodness. So Hashem made a point to be outside of him, kivyachol, as if to be a recipient of his goodness. So what did Hashem do? This also is hard to understand. In the center of Ein Sof, what's the center of Ein Sof? You can put it here, it's the center. You can put it here, it's the center. Hashem is everywhere. What does the center mean? But we just said he's everywhere. That also makes you nuts. When you say that in the center of Hashem himself, he made an emptiness. He made like a blob, like a bubble, which was totally empty from Hashem. And it's the middle point. When you say that middle point, you go nuts. What do you mean middle point? I can put it anywhere, it's not considered the middle point. The Hashem is anyways endless. There's no concept of a middle point. It goes against our understanding. It's crazy. In this middle point, Hashem made a chalala panui, an empty, hollow space. It's called the vacated space or the hollow space. In it, Hashem sent a ray, a kav, a line from the outer lining of this empty space, which is the edge of Ein Sof, Hashem himself. He sent a line which is equidistant. It's a circle. It's a clear circle. So anywhere you do it, it's going from the middle, from that point to the middle point, and it's equal to all other sides. So he made a line pass into the center point of this chalalapanu, this empty hollow space. Okay, this we went into many times in the past. Now something new that we never spoke about before. As Hashem allowed this line, this kav, to be generated, to be emitted from the outer edge, the corner of him to the middle point, he started creating rings, like onion rings, one ring under another one. Okay, so like you have the first circle, which is the edge of Ein Sof. In it was another circle. Inside of that was another circle, like onion rings. That's the wording of Chaim Vital himself uses, like onion rings, like the klipot of the batzal. He says that clearly in the Kitvei Ari. That's the wording used, like onion rings. Okay, it goes around one after the next. What were these round circles within this first circle of Ein Sof? This is the beginning of Hashem creating Sefirot. Now that means the first ring within was corresponding to the Keter. A Keter of a world. What is a world? There are what's called the dimensions. Olamot, dimension. What's the best way to explain to somebody who knows nothing of idea of worlds? It's like in an atlas. When you learn the geography in school, you have an atlas. So you have the map of the United States. Okay, let's say. So now there's a few maps. There's one map that shows you of population. Where in the United States are the most people? So there's a special map that has coloring based on population. So in the middle of Nebraska, nothing, it's like all empty, so it's green, okay? Nebraska, or North Dakota, it's all like empty, okay? And then you have New York and LA and Boston and Florida. And you have Seattle, and it started getting red. Chicago, like red, okay? It's like it's red in there, those areas. But in the other areas, it's like empty. Then you have another map of climate, let's say. Okay, so you have a map where it's hotter, where it's colder. So you have upper United States, it's like colder, and then Florida and LA or Texas down there bottom. So the color also, they make colors that change. And then they have another one of minerals under the ground, right? So you have like a map of the United States where it changes colors based on where there's more forestry, where there's more trees, where there's more iron and ore and copper and gold and silver, okay? So that's the same United States map, but changes pictures, changes dimensions because of what you want to portray now of the point. So too, this world, this physical world is called Olam HaAsiya. It's the world of action. It has duplicate dimensions of this world, but on spiritual levels, okay? There's the first world, the highest one. It's called Atzilut. Atzilut is from the root Etzel, nearness, Etzel, who Etzli, next to me. Who Etzel, Ze Etzel Ze, he is next to me, that's Etzel, Atzilut. Atzilut is the dimension of this world, which is closest to Hashem. It's near. It's called Atzilut because it's right next to Ein Sof. It's mamash, literally right next to the infinite one. It's at that level, okay? That's called the highest of the four olamot. There's really 5 worlds. But there's 4 that take place within this hollow space. There's another one which is within Hashem. We won't go into that at all. Let's deal with what we have to deal with for this lesson. In this emptiness, halal, there's the first highest world. It's called the Atzilut because it's nearness, okay? In this universe, in this world, there are also 10 Sefirot. What are the Sefirot? Sefirot are levels of energy that Hashem transmits from this kav. You see this kav was coming from the external circle going into the emptiness of the Chalal HaPanui. So the kav, the ray, the line going in was transferring energy, but it stops. There's points. Okay, so the first stop was the highest sphera. What's a sphera? A sphera is a form of energy which brings forth Hashem's presence, but in a specific format. So Keter, for example, it's like a crown. It's called Keter because it's a crown, because it brings in the whole crowning of the creation starts at the Keter. There's the sphere called Chokhmah, because it's an energy level that brings forth the light of wisdom, of knowledge, okay? And then there's Bina, Da'at, afterwards. Da'at is an interesting sphere. It's a quasi-sphere. Sometimes it's called Keter, sometimes it's called Da'at. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, these are all terms which reflect an expression, right? Gvura is boldness, Chesed is kindness, Tiferet is a balance, splendor, okay? Hod is glory, Netzach is victory, Yesod is foundation, Malchut is kingship. Each sphera represents a different level of energy, okay? Yeah, you switch, interchange. You have 10 Sefirot. If we count them, the names is 11. So what's going on? So sometimes we call Keter Da'at. So when there's Da'at, there's Chokhmah Bina Da'at, and there's no Keter. And then when we want to mention Keter, so we do Keter, Chokhmah Bina, no Da'at, Kachab, Keter, Chokhmah Bina. Okay, that's the first. Okay, we're going to try it yet. We're going to go to 3. I want to go way before this. We have to explain first before. So going back, Hashem let this line go through. As it's passing through from the external shell into the center point of the vacated space, it's creating an onion ring. It's just another circle, okay, which is representing one of the Sefirot within each world. So since we're talking about Atzilut, which is the beginning, the Etzel, okay, so Keter is the first ray, and the line, while it was passing, Hashem allowed the creation of this first sphera called Keter of Atzilut, plus the line was giving it its life force, its energy. Okay? Then after that came Chokhmah, another onion ring, and Hashem was transferring the energy to that, and then Bina, and then Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, so you have 10, okay? And then once you finish the first section of the world of Atzilut, started a new world, a new dimension, like in a map, like in an atlas, for a different perspective, which was now, it's called Bria. Bria means what? Bria means the creation, the actual creation, when things are being created. It's called the Olam HaKiseh, or the Olam of the angels. This is a bit deep, I have to remember the details. But this is another stage between the closeness to the infinite one and actual the phys of Asiyah. It's now we're beginning to create a universe, to design it, the designing of the world. It's a different map. It's not a physical map anymore, but it's based on the physical world, yes, because the ultimate goal of Bria is to bring you the Asiyah, the actual physical world. So in Bria also there's Keter, there's the 10 Sefirot of this world called, this dimension called Bria. And that's also 10 Sefirot. So you have your 10, another 10, that's 20. And then the third dimension, the third universe, the third world is called Yetzirah, which is formation, to form it now. Creation is now bringing it in. And now Yetzirah is forming it, formation. It also has another Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, that's another 10 rings. That's another 10, that's 30. And then finally, this last world of Asiyah has also rings. Okay, you have Keter of Asiyah, Chokhmah of Asiyah, okay? That's more in this world. The Arizal says maximum a Jew has access in this world is to Malchut and Tiferet. But the other Sefirot, you know, you have to be a big tzaddik to be able to have access to see the workings of the Sefirot in this world, you know, all the more so on the upper worlds, okay?
Physically see them.
When that, even for the minimum, Malchut and Tiferet, which are Yesod Malchut, those who have eyes, those who learn Kabbalah with a level of holiness which is matching it, they see things differently. That's why people have a big fear of Kabbalists, because they can see what's happening. Where do they begin to see? They see in the interaction between Malchut and Yesod, the lowest two. From that, you can see what's happening. When you have tzaddikim, we say this is going to happen, be careful. When you have these stories of Baba Sali, he told someone, don't go today, I see this and that, and the person was saved by a car accident or this. Where do they have this? This is the interaction they have with the two lowest Sefirot of Asiya, showing them what's happening. Huh?
Probably had more than that.
Bistama, yeah, we won't belittle any of the tzaddikim. Fine, but the key to going through is starting with the Malchut and Yisod. Us, didn't begin to talk about Malchut of Asiya, you know. let's leave it for another lifetime maybe. But in any event,
So the 10 spheres represent the planets that we have?
maybe. I'm not so fluent in the Likutey Ari to tell you that. But Arizal talks about everything. The Torah talks about everything. You should know everything's in the Torah. If you think this, but the Torah doesn't talk about this, you're wrong. The Torah talks about everything. It's crazy. Every possible scenario you can think of in life is brought down or in the Gemara, or in the Midrash, or in the Zohar, and the Likutey Ari. Everything's there. Everything is there. Mamash. There's nothing untouched. Don't say, they're not educated in these matters. You're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. It's unbelievable what's in the Torah. It's phenomenal. Mamash. So you can learn everything from the Torah. Mamash. So when Hashem originally let this ray to create these onion rings, so you have like 10, 10, 10, 10. There's 40, because as each world has 10, so it's 40. Okay, get to the final middle point. Middle point is where it stopped. That's the creation. The finalization of this world is Malchut of Asiya. Okay, the Malchut of Asiya, the lowest sphera of the fourth world, the lowest world. That's where the actual physical creation begins to have its finalization. Okay, so when Hashem created originally, I'll get to these maps. Where are the maps here? 1 second. Here are the maps. Okay.
In between physical and pure spiritual is 40.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it takes 40 to get between pure physical and pure spiritual.
What do you mean it takes 40?
You said that
40 days.
it's actually from us to travel to
The number 40. Chazak
Moshe
Baruch.
Rabbeinu was 40 days.
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Ah,
40 is not stop.
oh,
Okay, don't look at this map. Look at this map. You see this map here? Hashem, you remember we spoke about this, created the world with a built-in flaw. What was the flaw? And Hashem did it purposely. Is that when Hashem, you see, this is Keter to Malchut of like one world, one of the 10 worlds. Each world has like this. There's these 10 Sefirot of Atzilut, like we said, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya, right? There's in each world, okay? So now when Hashem created them, like each one's like an onion ring, right? This one goes around, this one also goes around. When Hashem first allowed the ray, the kav, the line to go through, he allowed each one to receive energy, but disconnected from the sphere below it. Disconnected. So that means Keter was receiving light from the infinite light, this ray, this line, but it was on its own. Keter was taking the light that it was supposed to receive to become the sphere of Keter, let's say, of Atzilut, or the Keter of Bria, or the Keter of Yetzira, of Asiya, of all 4 levels, and it was disconnected. It was only on its own. And the ray continued, and the ray didn't allow connection between Keter and Chokhmah. It's just passing through, creating the energy to give to Keter, going on, and Keter, you're on your own. You have nothing to do with what's underneath you or what's above you, or whatever. It's just Keter on its own. Chokhmah now, also the same thing. Chokhmah received its energy level to be in the Chokhmah, but independent, on its own. Bina, on its own. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, all these Sefirot on their own, okay? What was the flaw? Is that the energy, as soon as the line passed through each one, and allowing them to exist with the energy they received, it was so intense for them that they all shattered. This is what's called in the Kabbalah, Shirat HaKelim, the shattering of the vessels. These Sefirot, couldn't be a proper vessel to receive the light being channeled into it. Because again, Hashem created a Sefira, but there's no energy from Hashem going into it. It doesn't have the ability to serve its purpose. Okay? So there's what's called Orot Vekeli. There's light and a vessel which the light fills up. So the Sefira, the Keter, before the line went through, it had an existence as a vessel, but empty. Empty. It has no purpose. It's like a car. The car doesn't work if you don't put in the gas. Man, have a nice car, right? Beautiful. If it doesn't work, what does it help me to have a car? Okay, so I have a car called Keter, a car called Chokhmah, okay? Each one has a different type of job. I have a plane, I have a jet speed, whatever, missile, sky, whatever. Each one has a different name, a different title. But if there's no gas and no energy, it's not gonna move, okay? So Hashem in the line put in the energy, but because it was so intense, why was it so intense? Because Hashem already from the beginning of creation wanted to teach Achdut. You hear this? In the creation itself, Hashem wanted there to be what's called unity. There has to be a type of unity. That's the only way the creation is going to take place if different parts work together. So he made it that it was so intense, Keter, it couldn't receive the light, it smashed. Chokhmah, smashed. Bina, smashed, all down. The next words also. The light went through, they were already there. By the way, the onion rings were ready. The light was going through just to give in the light into the vessels. It passed through, they all crashed. Okay? Now the crashing creates shards. There's light. It's like, for example, I have a cup and the glass breaks. What falls on the ground, on the earth, on the floor? The broken piece of the glass plus the water inside. I have a cup of water. What falls on the bottom? Both the shards of the cup plus the water. So what happened is all these shards and light contained in Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, then of the first word, Atzidut, and then of Bria, and then of Yetzirah, and then Asiyah, they all fell down to the lowest sphera and under it. What's the lowest sphera? It's called Malchut of Asiyah. Malchut of the fourth world, the lowest one is called Asiyah. Malchut is the lowest sphera, okay? All these shards and energy and light, they fell down to the level of Malchut of Asiyah. And there was an area which is beyond that. That area beyond is called the domain of evil. In other words, the center point of the universe, of this earth, which is under Malchut of Asiyah. Hashem allowed a no man's land, no energy level to exist. What for? For there to exist evil. Evil came into formation when all of these broken shards, spiritual vessels, and the light crashed from all the 40 levels, fell down into Malchut of Asiyah, came into existence what's called klipot. What is the definition of a klipa? Klipa is a peel. It's excess. Rabbeinu said, we saw in lesson 2. What? The shard plus now the liquid, the light. Yeah, but it was crashed. It's not used for its initial function. Its initial function is to be a vessel to contain the light of the Keter, to be a vessel to contain the light of Chokhmah, of Bina, of Dan. It's not doing its job. So it crashed, the vessel crashed, plus the light within, fell down to the Malchut of Asiyah. It's not in its proper place. It's not in its proper place. That's what we call Sitra Achran, other side. Other side means it's taking something which is not supposed to, because it crashed. Spirits, it's like the Torah, the Kabbalah, the Chaim Vital. He's trying to explain to you that in a way that you can picture it. It crashed and went all the way down to the center point of the universe, which is where Malchut Asiyah is. And that's where the Klipot now became into existence, because they're now feeding off broken shards with light. So now, the Klipot specifically are from the Kelim of the light. Okay, the Kelim of each, of the Sefirot. The light that also fell, they're leeching off of it. Yonek. They're like parasites. That's how they exist. The Klipot exist because they're leeching off the light from the initial creation. Okay? This was the first way Hashem created the world. Then Hashem, on this, created a second time.
This whole crash happened when my Bereshit.
Before Maaseh Bereshit. When you're reading Bereshit, it's already after all of this. How could there be a snake who's bad already? Who created him bad? The primordial snake, the Nachash HaKadmoni, was bad because already from the Klipot existing.
Either way you're saying it, that means that the world already, once it was created, had this bad Klipot.
Exactly. The deficiency was before even on the first day.
Okay, fine, but before Adam Machal,
there was already the Nachash. Nachash was already bad. The Nachash
only exists because there was this already bad.
The Nachash being bad, but the Torah says the Nachash haya arum. The Nachash was cunning.
When he created this world, he wanted this world more or less to already have the bad in it that we should avoid and get over it. And the bad came.
So let's explain now what's the bad here. Good. What's the bad? The idea of bad is bad has good trapped in it. That's the definition of bad. You hear this? Unbelievable. The definition of bad, according to the Torah, Ra, is it has good trapped in it, which is giving it nourishment and life force. That's how it's existing. How does the bad exist? Because it's good, giving a spark, the spark of holiness, giving it nourishment. What our job? Pure bad can't exist. B'chol makom. It's a pasuk. Rabbeinu brings this pasuk many times. B'chol makom muktar umukash mugash nishmi. Every place of idol worship is really is dedicated to me. It's a pasuk. What does it mean? That the idol worshippers can only exist if there's if Hashem is giving them life force. You hear this? It's very deep. That Hashem is giving the ability, the life force for evil to do bad. Hashem gives life force, and it's hard to say this, I'm scared to say this, but I'll say it, that the Nazis can kill 6 million Jews. It's Hashem gave a life force for this to happen. It's scary. I know it all though. No. There's free will, but with the holy spark within it. Hashem let it happen?
Yeah, of course.
Hashem, of course, it's all for a believer, for a mommy, and you understand that. So if it's not mommy, they say, what the world you're talking about.
I'm not saying they're not bad people, but they're just stupid, and Hashem orchestrated it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
so
saying that
it's-
it shouldn't be bad.
The Christians say, where was God in the Holocaust?
Of course they say that.
The real Amunah is, Hashem made the Holocaust.
Hashem made
Why
the
did
Holocaust.
we
That's
observe it? That's another question.
Someone said, how could you, what's it called? Someone asked him, yeah, he's a big migrant on anti-Semitism in the world. He said, how could there be so much anti-Semitism? Obviously, you don't have a God protecting. It's like, just point for credit. Obviously, if everyone's coming to chase us, obviously
There's something good here. Exactly.
It can't be. Why would everyone chase us?
Exactly. Okay. So going back, Hashem took this and now we formatted it like this. Okay, what it means? Again, he made the onion rings.
What means the order fell or the vessel fell?
They both fell. What's the difference? Is the vessel itself, the klipot take the vessels, because they're not being used now. It's a broken vessel. When you have a broken glass on the floor, where do you throw the pieces of the broken glass? You throw it in the garbage. You can't use it anymore. You can't use the vessel for its initial purpose. So the evil says, I'll take it. It's like, the guys, they get 30 agurot for each bottle now, right? You don't care about the 30 agurot. You throw your bottles, your plastic bottles, you throw it because I don't have time now to go find a dispenser to put my recyclable bottles and then I get money back and I don't have time for this. But as the poor guys, I'll take it. I'll take your 30 cents, I'll give you 30 cents and 60 cents. So the klipot, lahavdil, sorry to say this analogy, but the klipot, they say, okay, we'll take it. This gives us life. We live off the broken shard. So they're the broken shard. The broken shard becomes the klipot. The broken shard, the broken glass, is the makeup of the klipot. What gives the life for the klipot to do bad is also the water that fell, the glass that broke, the light that fell under Malchut Avasiya. That's what's giving them nourishment. Our job in the creation now is to recollect all of those holy sparks. It's called the mitzotzot. That's the word used by the Kabbalah. These are sparks, holy sparks. Our job now is to get all these sparks which are scattered within this physical creation. In this physical universe, you have the klipot. They're everywhere. The klipot are everywhere. Like the Gemara says, if the eye would be given permission to see, you would see how many demons are surrounding you every day, how many demons and forced destruction. You don't see anything. I had a movie recently where a guy, he put on these glasses and he can see the real video game. Okay, it's a whole movie. I forgot what it's called exactly. He puts on the glasses and he sees what's really out there. Well, without the glasses, he didn't see anything. But he put on the glasses and he can see this person running a bomb being shot there. He sees all these crazy things. Okay, that's the idea. We don't see what's really happening here, but there's a lot of evil. There's good also, obviously, and there's much more good. We believe in that. The good has to be stronger always. Mida tova meruba. Okay, but the bad is here. Our job now, when you say a bracha, when you do Burat Tefillin, when you keep on Shabbat, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're putting on Tefillin today. What's today? Today is the 30th of Shvat in a year that never existed. It's happening on a Tuesday. The Lamed Shvat in this year, it's never existed before. Tafshin Pei Bet. This configuration of Tuesday, this day, and this year never existed before. You also coming to this day is totally unique. Who you are with your nefesh and ruach and neshama and reincarnation, everything all together you are unique in this combination together. Okay. So now you're putting on tefillin. It's the first time ever you're putting tefillin in this combination. And what is it meant to do? It's meant to elevate holy sparks, but only you in this matching scenario and situation can elevate them. Okay? I don't know what to do. It's very long. We have more to go on for. I think we should stop here. We'll put a break, and the next year we'll continue. I thought we'd for sure finish everything on this year. And I see it's not happening. So next year,
Heavy stuff.
for sure it's heavy stuff. We'll continue it. B'ezrat Hashem. We're almost finished. So next year, I think will be, if we have time, to finish this Kabbalistic introduction, to go back to see how it's in the lesson Likutey Moharan, and then to say the piece of Likutey Tefillot. After reading about, understanding what Malchut is, you better appreciate Rav Nossin's final piece of his prayer on this paragraph number 2. B'ezrat Hashem. All right.
Well, at least next year, next year.
Huh? Wait 1 second. Is there any more questions or
No, at
something?
least we can just see, at least partially.
You can see it. Yeah. Malchut
Malchut.
Asiyah, Haolam min HaKlipot. Malchut Asiyah, coming out of the Klipot, is you doing the mitzvot, basically. Come out of that. All right. Shkoyach.
Wow.
Thank you for joining, everybody.